Loretta, do us the honors of welcoming us today.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and to all those that are present. Thank you so very much for being with Women of Concerned Professionals and Strategic Conscious Network, our sixth annual National Day of Sports for Women and Girls. Today, we're going to focus on considering what does it take to be a referee, the problematics, the joys, the laughters, the pain. Now, under Pillar 3, which is our education, we utilize sports as an educational tool. We are integrating sports into learning that aligns with a broader educational concept. Through social skills and teamwork, sports promote collaboration, communication, and interpersonal development. Leadership and confidence develops youth learning into leadership, decision making, and goal settings through coach activities and team roles. Gender equity and awareness. That is what the premise of our pretense. By focusing on female participation, not only in sports, but as referees and owners of sports, the organization links sports with gender empowerment and equity education. We're honored to be here. We're honored to present our Chief Operations Officer. She is a founding member of our Board of Trustees, and she's also the director of our Sports Opportunity, Miss Ronnie Savage.
Thank you, Loretta. Thank you for that warm welcome. Thank you, ladies, for all being here with us today. I want to welcome all of our friends around the globe because we're not just local to the United States. We have branched out and we've become global. In September of 2025, we were in Spain for our first sports conference. We're excited for you guys to join us today in our Girls and Women's Sports Day, and I'm honored and delighted to introduce our esteemed moderator, Miss Yvette Perry. Yvette is a prior instructional chair in the South Bay unit. She had in Los Angeles, California. She has certified and instructed over 150 plus officials. She is well versed in basketball. She hosts a number of camps and clinics throughout the year, every year. She is now homed in Georgia, which she has continued her work through instructing, training, and certifying officials. She has a master's degree, excuse me, um, bachelor's degree in business and English communication, and her master's degree, a master's of science in organizational management, emphasizing in human resources. She started off playing basketball at Dorsey High School. She went on to play JC basketball at Compton College, and she went from there to Cal State LA and Johnson C. Smith with playing basketball. She played 9 years semi-pro basketball for various women's leagues in the Southeast. Yvette, thank you so much for moderating our event today.
No, no, thank you for having me. This is such an honor and a privilege to be amongst such just prominent and successful women in sports. We are our own sorority, and we haven't been listed as a sorority, but we are our own sorority, and I'm glad to see everyone here today. I would like to uh, introduce our panel, and I'm going to start with Ms. Patty Rolfe. She's a prominent figure in American volleyball, known for her extensive career as a referee, a coach, a mentor, and athlete. She has officiated at the highest levels, including the Olympic Games in Rio 2016 and Japan 2021, where she refereed gold and bronze medal matches, respectively. Ms. Rolfe serves as the FIVB Rules of the Game and Referee Commission and is currently president of the NORCECA Rules Commission. In the U.S., she is a PAVO, USA national official. She is currently working across major collegiate conferences and all levels of USA volleyball. She also officiates the United States LOBB Professional League. She is a mentor and referee coach in the USA and internationally. As a coach, Ms. Rolfe led college programs for 25 years and founded junior clubs, contributing to youth development and coaching education. She held advanced coaching certifications and has coached in USA Volleyball's high performance programs. Her achievements include induction into multiple halls of fame, including those of Hopkins High School, North Dakota State University, and the University of Minnesota Duluth. Her outstanding service and contributions at the collegiate and USA volleyball levels have been recognized with her induction into the PAVO and USA Volleyball Hall of Fames. Her leadership and service extends to board memberships with USA Volleyball, the Badger region, and the North Country region, where she served as president. At the collegiate level, she served on the American Volleyball Coaches Association and the NAGWS PAVO board. She is also unique, having served on the Duluth School Board for 6 years while coaching and officiating. I must say, as a former athlete, she played at North Dakota State University and professionally before transitioning to coaching and officiating. Ms. Rolfe is married with 2 children and 2 granddaughters. Her dedication and leadership have left a lasting impact on our sport. And that's just a Hall of Famer. I tell you, I love it. Um, and our next one is my dear friend, Miss Kaylee Memora. Kaylee is from Thousand Oaks, California, where she was a multi-sport athlete in high school and scholarship and volleyball athlete in college and a pro beach volleyball player on the AVP tour after college. Kaylee began her officiating journey in the LA unit in both volleyball and basketball. She currently works Division I in both sports and was a FIBA International basketball official for the United States. Kaylee earned her national PAVO rating in volleyball and works in 7 conferences in volleyball and 5 in basketball. In volleyball, Kaylee has had consecutive NCAA tournament appearances since 2013, with her first NCAA championship in 2021 and her most recent Final Four in 2024. Kaylee is most passionate about serving families all across the nation in the financial space, all while raising her 13-year-old son and caring for her 83-year-old mom. Our next panelist is Marianne Minlove. Marianne Minlove grew up in a small town in Utah where sports were a constant part of her life. In 5th grade, she tried to join the wrestling team, but was told no by her family, her school, and societal expectations in 1985. That moment helped shape her lifelong mission to create opportunities for girls and women in athletics that she herself was denied. Today, Marianne is a nationally recognized leader in officiating and education. She holds a bachelor's degree in exercise science from the University of Utah and has had a 25-year career in health, wellness, and biomechanics, which is how the body moves. She has worked the NFL Flag Championships from 2021 through 2025 with multiple appearances on ESPN. She serves as the CIF State Rules Interpreter for girls flag football and is a co-founder and the president of Collegiate Flag Football Officials. In addition, she is a collegiate softball umpire, a CIF State playoffs umpire, and has officiated at the USA Softball National Championships. My next guest is pretty much my mentor in so many ways. Dr. Susan Haynes, aka Doc, is a professional educator who has taught at all 3 levels of education in the state of California and currently teaches psychology at California State University, Los Angeles. Additionally, she serves as a university supervisor and fills the same role for teacher interns at the Los Angeles County Office of Education. She holds 4 degrees, 3 credentials, and several certifications including full certification as a life coach. And a great one she is. She is she is the ultimate professional whose teaching style is uniquely her own swag, and she knows that students who have been in her classes over the years have obtained subject matter knowledge, life lessons, discovered the joy of learning, and experienced immense personal growth while exploring who they are, their destiny, and their purpose. Susan is also a professional sports official herself for basketball and softball, who absolutely loves to see girls out there in the court and fields of life, just doing their thing. She is authentic and always down for whatever is good and right in the world. Then we have our Dr. Tamisha Brain. She's a 23-year veteran educator, earning both a bachelor's and master's degree, as well as a California teacher credential from Cal State University, Dominguez Hills. Tamisha's expertise, is physical education. Being a lifelong learner, she also earned a doctorate degree in educational leadership and represents over 350 educators as a labor leader and educational advocate. Tamisha is passionate about guiding personal development through self-awareness, strategic planning, leadership development, rapport building, and physical fitness. Tamisha is also dedicated to community uplift through outreach and her advocacy for access to opportunities, shared decision making, effective educational institutions, and enhanced human conditions. She is also the proud parent of 3 student athletes. Woo wee! That's all I have to say about these ladies. This is straight. This is Mount Rushmore if
I'm
I ever want
telling
to call
you,
one.
this is fabulous.
That is amazing. Oh my goodness. And I knew that by most of them. I'm just still overwhelmed. This behooves me that we have these kind of women just in our space today. And those of you who are joining the call for the first time, if you don't leave this call feeling more empowered, feeling more gratitude for the experiences that you've held as an athlete, and you didn't take value to it, you should feel a little bit better after you leave this call today. Ronnie, did we have anything else we wanted to tackle
No,
before
let's
I
jump
start
right into our
with the question?
conversation. And the title, you have that, Yvette?
Uh, yes, the conversation, you mean the questions that we have established?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would like to start with, and anyone, when I ask the question, any one of our panelists can jump in. It's not directed as one person answers, but I just know each one of you will have great answers to these questions. These are really thought out. Um, what do you think we as women officials could do better to showcase our knowledge and expertise to reach higher levels of officiating? How can we put ourselves out there better to reach those goals? Okay.
One of the things that I found is that as we rise, we lift. So when we get out there as officials and we're representing our sport, not only just the female officials that are out there, but the spectators, the coaches, the other people that are watching for the first time, young athletes up and coming, that of course we're representatives of that when we step onto the court. But sometimes it takes more than that. It takes identifying those athletes that are also have the same passion, have the philosophy of good sportsmanship, have that respect for the game. And for us to impart our knowledge and at least a little bit of our influence by opening up the conversation sometimes, identifying them and saying, hey, you are such a leader. Have you ever thought of taking this to the next level in officiating? At those camps, which many of us, such as yourself, Yvette, have been excited to be a part of. It's sometimes going to the athletes that you're in the camp with, having just a couple minutes to speak to them before we get started, establishing a relationship that they know you're human, but also advocating for the next step for officials and officiating. Anybody who wants to do this, please come talk to me. Anybody have questions about it, right? So it takes us many times, either beforehand or afterwards, to open up that conversation and make ourselves available so they can take the next steps if they're interested in pursuing it further.
Awesome. Yes, and Kaylee has been my clinician in a few camps. So we leave there better. We leave there, and that knowledge is transferred to all campers and clinicians, which I tell all of my newbies who are on the call. Anyone else? Patty, you have anything with that?
Yes, absolutely. I think just going off of what Callie mentioned, and it's interesting because I just received an email from FIVB. They do a newsletter. FIVB is the international body for volleyball, and they have a huge initiative that they started in Japan, but now we have a new president, and he is focused on an email, and this is a big email to everybody in the world on gender equality. And this is a very rare thing in organizations, because when you start saying this is what we're going to do, then you have to do that. And, it was funny because I thought I wanted to read this whole email off to you guys because it's phenomenal. But they're partnering with a company that's going to promote this all over the world. And what's interesting to understand all over the world is that there are places in the world that really don't allow. I mean, I was in a country once that didn't even allow women to go to the gym. In fact, when I asked to use the restroom, there was no women's restroom. And so I had to, as we say in back in the day, I had to make do. So they're going to countries that traditionally have no women representation in sport. And now, because of this initiative, they are required to. And it's actually pretty intense in terms of what they're asking countries to do. Another thing that I think is interesting about the camps, and this is going off of what Callie said, not only is it the work we do, like actually the reffing, but another critical element is that the inclusion of women in events. So I recently left USA Volleyball's director of officials for the last 8 years, and I transitioned out of that. But one of the things that we did bring into the organization was if we do a camp, and in fact, this weekend, I'm actually at the airport right now in the bookstore, and I'm going over to Orlando to a huge 200 court volleyball event as our head referee. But we're also hosting a huge camp there, the USA Volleyball is, and there'll be about 20 people there. We said that we are going to have women as campers, and they will be at a decent ratio, almost equal to men, so that they're represented there. And thus, the whole event will see women officiating, and then the campers will, women particularly, will have a camp experience and thus exposed to female coaches at camp. And we said we are going to hire an equal number of men to women coaches. By the way, this did not go well in the beginning when we tried to do this. So this is something that we have to demand of ourselves and the organizations that we represent, that you have to get women involved early and when they're young, because that is when they're making decisions about what they want to do when they grow up.
That's absolutely right. Marianne,
Yeah.
I know you have it. Here we go.
So I echo everything that's been said. I feel a huge sense of responsibility to bring others along with me who look like me, who are in the same avenue that I am. I have, opportunities working now with a brand new Olympic development program in USA football. Right? We now have a new Olympic sport, which is crazy. And in doing that, pushing and having conversations with leaders saying it needs to be at least 50-50. If we have 30 officials out there, 15 of them need to be female. Half of your athletes are female, half of your officials need to be female. This needs to be done, and having those sometimes, as Patty referenced, like difficult conversations with leadership that they may miss that. It's a huge thing that we as leaders in the sport can do to influence having those uncomfortable conversations with the people above us, saying it has to be, we have to find a way to make this equal. We have to have a conversation about this. We have to find ways to bring up the other women who are interested. And then, as Callie referenced as well, approach those women, go to them, right? Go find them. I have a junior umpire that works for me, local. She umpires 8-year-old softball games for me, and she's a freshman in college this year. She's been doing it for 3 years. She gets to make some great money on the weekends, and she would, if she were on this call, she would tell you it's made her a better softball player. I bring her along with me in recruiting all the time because she gets to speak to these next group of young women that we're trying to bring up and let them know that this is an opportunity for them. I think many of us came up where, there was one seat at the table for women. And somehow it was pie, right? It was like there's only so many slices to go around. And we as leaders continue to educate people. This isn't pie. There's plenty to go around. Just because I have doesn't mean you have less, and continuing to push those messages forward, I think only further the progress of how we can affect positive change in this regard.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And you touched on something which was asking my next question, but I'm gonna come back around. Dr. Susan.
Yeah, in answer to your question, I think the first thing that we need to do is those of us who are in at whatever level we are. I never had any aspirations to do anything other than high school. I'm good, you know, y'all knock yourself out, but I'm good. But the first thing we need to do is really learn our craft. If we're going to speak to other people about coming into these particular spaces, then we need to know what we're talking about. As a Black person, as a Black child growing up, I heard constantly, you got to be 10 times better because you're Black. So I'm going to attach that to women as well. We have to be 10 times better because of our gender. And it's not that we're not capable. We can outshine any man, pick one. But the mentality, we were just talking, I teach the psychology of gender, and we were just talking yesterday in class about gender stereotypes. And the stereotype that's connected to women is that we have no acumen for sports whatsoever. So the first thing we need to do is learn our craft. The second thing we need to do is understand the time and space that we are in. We are in a time and space where they have done and they continue to do absolutely everything they possibly can to lie, cheat, steal, kill opportunity. And that's in the form of destroying any kind of DEI programs, diversity, equity, inclusion. They're in the process of killing that. So we need to understand that, because when we go to war, we got to have some different weapons. We can't go with the weapons, when they were saying, okay, come, come, come. No, they're saying, don't come now. Okay. So we need to understand that and develop different weapons so that we can attack to win not only the battle, but also the war. Thirdly, we as women need to get in positions of leadership.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here just in awe of those of you up here and you over here and you telling folks here. And I know it's hard because there are daggers stabbing at you from left, right, because remember, you're not supposed to be there. But when we get in positions of leadership, we can affect change. We just have to build each other up and continue to support each other so that we can all survive when we're
Right.
in these. But if we're not in the places where they're setting policy and determining procedure and making the change, then we're not in the right room.
Absolutely.
Okay, I cannot officiate the basketball game if I'm out on the softball field or I'm over on the football field. Um, and then I had a fourth point too, but recruit women. That's my point. We have to recruit women ourselves. We can't rely on the systems or the boards or whatever. We have to recruit. I'm very proud, and I'm on that hard. I'm very proud. In the last maybe couple of years, I've recruited like 6 females to softball because that's a girl sport and everybody in the room is male.
Yeah.
I spent 3 years in the South Bay softball unit as the only female.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
we got to be about the business ourselves. And I totally agree with starting young and getting them kind of acclimated to, so by the time they get to be 18, we can snatch them up and they can be out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I was in the South Bay unit, that was what you and I and Ronnie always did.
Yeah.
We worked the women's leagues, and we'll pluck 2 or 3 of them out of there. And especially when they want to argue with us. You want to argue? So you must want to ref. So let's go ahead and get you over here and get you started then. And wait, Naomi's here, right? I think that's how I grabbed her from here in Atlanta. She plays in a couple of my women's leagues, and but it's an easy conversation if they know that it's possible. If they see someone they see all the time on their games, and they just thought it was hard to do it. No, it's not hard. Just come on in. I got you, and that's something we just have to continue to do. Dr. Brain, I saw your hand up there. Am I saying that correctly, Tamisha?
My hand was up,
Okay.
and I just wanted to echo everything that's been said. It's funny because I'm over here taking notes. I'm like, yes. And I was going to say that the whole point about leadership resonates with me. I think it's imperative that when we have space, when we are the holders of space, we continue to be intentional about who we let in. Sometimes there's gatekeepers and they keep the gate, and we don't have opportunities. But when we have leadership roles and we are decision makers, it's imperative that we are intentional about lifting young ladies up, lifting girls up, and making sure we are taken care of when we're in those spaces. I
Absolutely.
can't express how many times I've gone into a event and there's nowhere for me to change, and
Right.
I'm putting on my uniform in the car because there's only a men's facility. So I just wanted to echo and give kudos to all of the ladies here who are making space and being intentional about lifting up women in sports as well as athletics.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big deal. A change, just as simple as changing rooms. That's why when we call the schools before we go, I put it on their mind. I'm sorry, are there rooms for both myself and the male officials? Yes, I'm with two males today, but I need a room to change. So you have to ask for it too, but we shouldn't have to ask. That's my point. Um, that's a good transition into the next question. But before I do that, any of the attendees, Dominique, have any comments about anything that we've said? Charlita?
I want to make one comment because the doctor's comments resonated very heavily with me.
Mhm.
And the one thing I want to reinforce is we have to stay in the system no matter how painful it is. I've had incredibly painful experiences. And of course, that would be another show where we could tell stories of the most ridiculous things we've gone through. And there
Yes.
are a lot of them. So, but the idea that we have to maintain positions of leadership, we have to do it, whether we want to or not. In volleyball, particularly, if we're talking back in the day, there were more women officiating volleyball. There were more women coaching women's volleyball and women's basketball. Now, because of the money, we're literally it's a drought. There's no women anywhere. I mean, as I mentioned before, when I'm officiating in the professional league or in some of the pro stuff, I am the only woman in the room or in the gym, I call it. But the reality is that women have to get in positions of leadership so they can bring forward some of the concepts that we're bringing here. And the biggest concept that I think is so critical is women have to see women officiating, coaching, and in leadership positions. They have to see them. And number two, and I really think this is one of the cultures that women are under, and because it's a study on girls in the classroom. Girls, when the teacher says, "Hey, I need the answer to this question," raise your hand. Girls don't raise their hand. The boys will raise their hand. They have no idea what the answer is, but they'll blurt out something absolutely ridiculous because they're so hilarious. But little girls will go, "Oh, I don't know if it's going to be right, so I'm not going to do it." I just a couple days ago, we were talking to a juniors player at an event I was at. She goes, "Well, I'm not very good. I don't think I can do it." And I said to her, "You can be really, really bad, and we would love to have you."
So I'm gonna be able to get on the internet now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be able to get on the internet?
It is.
Someone mute.
Yes, and feel free to make me co-host too. I can help with that.
Could everybody mute?
Yeah,
I think we're muted now. I
was like, I thought I had everybody.
And so my final comment is that girls have to know they don't have to know everything. Get into the game, just go for it. You're going to learn as you go. And there's other women there that will protect you, that'll tell you you're amazing and that you'll grow. It's like a sport. You don't start volleyball knowing everything about volleyball or I don't start playing a basketball player. I start not being very good and then I grow. So it's just a critical element that the women that are currently in the game stay in it, and we bring more women in, and we encourage the men to recruit as well and to promote women as much as possible.
Yes, and on that note, I have found recently a lot of my male colleagues have been bringing their daughters to me, And that is really, really, I'm like touching that they trust me with their kids. Like, hey, my daughter wants to ref, and can I give her your number? You're the only woman I know that's actually into this and passionate and will get on the right path. And that has been enlightening for me. So I'm happy to see that. Dominique, you have your hand up, ma'am.
Yes, I just wanted to say I'm truly grateful for being able to be on this call. Unfortunately, I have to drop off for a work thing, but I just want to thank everyone for their opinion so far. And it's definitely empowering, Yvette, like you mentioned. And hopefully I'll be able to come back in and watch the rest of the conversation after the fact. But thank you all for being here.
Yeah, we're going to record it. But before you leave, what sport do you officiate? How long you been doing it? And where did you play ball?
Yes, I am based in Georgia. I am 27. I play basketball. I officiate basketball, and I played at Purdue University for 4 years.
Nice. And she's up and coming. She's non-varsity official now, but next season I see her doing varsity basketball. She's soaked it all in. I mean, she's a true student and a very successful architect right now.
Yeah, engineer, structural
Engineer.
engineer.
I always say that. But we talk about architects so much, so I always think you're architect.
Yeah.
Yes, engineer. So I'm proud of her. Thank you, Mama. This is going to be recorded. I'll make sure I get it to you.
All right.
Grateful
Thank you
for
so much.
having you, Dominique.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're always talking about infrastructure as an architect, so I always get to think she's an architect. But yeah, bright young lady. On that note, I said something that transition. We talked about leadership. Um, how do we, as women officials, get into those rooms to discuss the visibility of women officials who have been overlooked? Anybody can jump in.
I'll go.
Who's
I
that?
created,
Oh,
it's
there she is.
Marianne. It's
Uh-huh.
Marianne. So I'm in a very unusual circumstance to the rest of you who were very established sports, right? But flag football is growing so quickly. I have been put in these opportunities where I get to create the room, which is unusual and crazy, but have had the opportunity and had a vision in mind with the rise of flag football and knowing that it was going to be a collegiate sport, knowing it was going to be an NCAA sport, and pulled together resources and people that I know from across the United States. And I created it. I created the room that is collegiate flag football officials. I brought in people that I knew would hold the same vision that I hold, where it needs to be balanced. We have a mission statement that continues to use words like inclusion and diversity and those kinds of things. And I was lucky enough and blessed enough to have people that would go in this with me, both males and females, and know that it was important that our board consists of equal parts males, females. Our board consists of multiple colors of skins. Our board is diverse, and that's an important element because what we see on the field is diverse, right? If we're not reflected in our leadership for the diversity that we represent, that is seen in the games that we're officiating, it's important. But for me, I got to make it and I got to create it and I got to just continue to push and say, you don't get to tell me that I can't do this.
Mhm.
You don't,
Mhm.
because I know I can and I'm going to. So here we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Haynes?
Yeah, I think that was one of the first things I was going to say. Well, you know what? If you won't let me in your room, fine, I'll make my own room. And then you're going to have an attitude because my room is filled with better people than yours. Well, that's your problem, not mine, right? But
Okay.
yeah, all the time, always create your own space. But the
Mhm.
other things I was thinking for, um, number two, you have to get educated first. This is about being prepared. You can't just bogart yourself your way into a room and expect to be respected or even acknowledged for that matter. So before, while you sitting outside, getting in preparation to bogart your way into the room, be educated. pick the brains of people. That's my third point. Ask questions. Who seems to be in a position of power? And power doesn't necessarily mean you're telling everybody what to do or power. Who are the people who have influence? Those are the people that you want to align yourself with. And then you sit back and you observe them and you watch craft your own. Those people who have influence also have knowledge, and you want to snatch up all. Just I remember one in the doctoral program, I told my teacher, I said, you're going to be my mentor, right? I just told her that, and she looked at me like I was crazy, and she was like, oh, okay. and the rest is history. So we have to align ourselves with the people who are in the positions of power. Watch them, listen to them, and harass them with a lot of different questions. Which leads me to my next thing. All of us need a mentor. There's not one of us who's gotten where we are without a mentor. So this is kind of different than the people who are in positions of influence and power. The mentor is the person who's going to talk to you, guide you, correct you, flip you around, give you insight that you otherwise would not, give you insight about the players and how you work this and so on and so forth. And I think if we pull all that together, not only are we in a position to walk up in the room because we want respect when we walk in the room, but we can also decide, okay, I've gotten what I can get from you and be just like Marianne. Now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna create my own room, and I'm not inviting you.
I totally agree. I want to chime in on that, Dr. Hayes. Marianne can tell you when I met her, and she probably doesn't remember my very first meeting at SoFi. I went up, I introduced myself, I bought a commemorative coin. I said, I want this, I want all the knowledge. I've emailed her. So we do need those mentors. I learned this very early in basketball that when I became a basketball official, they gave me a mentor. She followed me around with a camera. She would talk to the film, and this is when we had the camcorders, and we would go back to a little cafe or something. She would break it down and she'd say, what are you looking at here? What are you doing here? What are you doing there? Then when I started moving everywhere, every state that I have officiated in, I found somebody to latch on that I could talk my sport. And those mentors are just so invaluable. When I came to California, I latched on to Lisa Scott. I said, and every single day we just talk sports, we just talk plays. These are so important. If we want to be in the sport, we've got to be able to make ourselves the mentors of tomorrow as well. So we have to have our mentors, and then we have to go back and mentor others. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I love that what Dr. Haynes just said about everybody at every level needs a mentor. There was somebody here before us. There was somebody here that we wanted to emulate and said we wanted to be like them. So, and it's a humbling experience because when we are put in positions where we think we know everything, we really don't. But you can always call that mentor and they're going to straighten you out and tell you what you need. So that is very, very important. Anything from our audience? Charlita, does Cookie? Cookie's my mentee, so she reaches out.
Why you
Naomi.
bent on calling me out of it now?
I'm gonna call you out anymore. Charlita is my best friend for the last 30 years, and she has a superstar daughter coming
Oh my
out
God.
going D1 next year in basketball. So I'm just loving everything. That's my girl. I mean, I gotta get y'all together, Susan. Right? Y'all think I'm funny? Wait till you get around that one.
Oh,
Go ahead.
no, well, thanks for the invite. This is great and very inspiring. I had put in the chat, that I officiate high school volleyball. Never played in my life, but I mean, about year six now. Yvette and I played college ball, not together, but that's how we know each other. I officiated basketball years ago. Had to stop when my kids started to play, so can't officiate and support your kid at the same time. But really made me appreciate volleyball. Like I said, got an opportunity to officiate men I'm not a small girl, but men can be kind of, rah rah when you playing
Yeah.
and things. So I had turned it down. So, Dr. Haynes is like, go for it. So I think I may rethink
Mhm.
that after visiting with you all today. So again, just really appreciate the invite and the opportunity to meet everyone. And what you're saying is very powerful. Thank you so much.
Well, I got one comment because that's kind of what my niche is. I do more men than I do women in basketball, and I'm not a small girl either. However, my brain is big as they know. I know what I know. They know I know what I know, and so I
Yeah.
don't get a lot of pushback. And like Dr. Susan said, you got to know your stuff, and you got to know how to communicate it. And then the men wouldn't care whether you're a woman or a male because they ran into more
Right.
men who don't know what they're doing, and that pisses them off too. And so, but if you see a woman who can communicate the rules or communicate the play, tell them what they did, um, just you don't get the pushback, and that's probably why I've done more males than I've done women. I get called for many more men's games, tournaments, the 1v1s, the 3-on-3s, the cash tournaments. It's just and where it could be very combative or confrontational, but I don't have those problems. I can't even tell you the last time I teed a coach.
Mm.
I don't have those problems. So, but it's just I think you'll like it, especially if you know the game, you learn the game, and you can communicate it. I think you'll be fine on the men's side.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Yvette,
Anybody else?
what else do we have? Another
Um, so we
topic.
talked about recruiting, but the other part we want to know is once we get them in here, how do we keep them involved after year one? Um, I like our panel. I'm gonna come back to the panel. I'm gonna go reverse this time. I want Zariah, are you available to talk?
Yes, ma'am. Good
She's
afternoon,
like my youngest,
everybody.
but okay. She's like my youngest. Mhm. How did you get in here once we recruited you? What's made you stay?
Honestly, it's a part of the leadership in the community that I had the pleasure to be around. Um, that keeps me, and not only that, it's just the longevity that everybody else has and the transparency in this environment that keeps you. Because, like, in your day to day work, everybody kind of makes it perfect. Hey, reach for the stars. Check this out the box, and you're going. With officiating, you don't know what you're gonna get some days. And if you feel like it was expressed earlier, if you're expressed, hey, you don't have to know everything, but we'll teach you everything you need to know, and you have a open book, you have a community behind you regardless, it helps you stay. And that's
Yeah,
what's helped me because I went through the first year and I was like, oh, I'm in it. Then my next year was a bit challenging. And I just was able to express, hey, this isn't working for me, or this is what I'm going through, and everybody helped me and directed me with more people that was able to help me push past that.
excellent, excellent. And I just realized Naomi is actually younger than you. Naomi, you're only about a few months in. Um, are you still eager and happy and bushy tail?
Yes, absolutely. I am enjoying my first year. I feel like I've picked up well so far and got into the groove. I mean, essentially that stems from me playing, the game all of my life. So I knew that coming into this, I wouldn't be, struggling too hard to catch on. Just mechanics and everything, getting that down pat was really like was really the main thing. But yeah, I'm adjusting well. I love it here. I actually want to expand. Like I would love to do volleyball, flat football. Like I'm just a sports girly since I was little. So um definitely open, of course, more connections and expansion. Atlanta's big, so it's not what you know, it's who you know. But when you got both, you really, it's a good, I believe that it's a great, avenue and setup for success. By default, you just gotta be willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so now I'll connect you to the flag football and the volleyball people now that I know you want to do more.
Yes.
Marianne, you
And
hear
shout out
that?
to the best mentor. Shout out to the best mentor there is Miss Yvette Perry. She got me set up, got my books and everything, and been encouraging me to learn, everything. So grateful for you for sure. And thank you guys for this platform. I've been listening, chiming in. I know it's my first time talking, but I definitely been listening. And I can say that I am encouraged and inspired and being inspired for sure.
Absolutely. That's key into keeping them here. Now I can go to the panel. What do you think you've done in your careers to help your recruits come in and stay?
My hand was already up.
Yes, ma'am.
The first thing that I thought of was, and this has not been the case in all the spaces, and I'm okay with that because I don't want to be bothered with you either. But what we've developed, and I'm talking specifically about because we've experienced it, Ronnie and Yvette and Tamisha and everything, we have developed a sisterhood
Mm-hmm.
within our units or within we have a sisterhood, and we are in each other's lives, not just because of, well, not just for officiating. I see you from during the training for the 8 weeks of the training, the training season, and then I don't see you again until the next year.
Mm-hmm.
But we have become sister friends,
Mm-hmm.
who love each other and care for each other and support each other and talk to each other outside of basketball season or softball or whatever the case may be. And I think it's important for women to not walk past that sisterhood that just comes kind of automatically with us.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear about people like, oh no, I can't stand her because she, he say, she say, and then all this foolishness on these reality shows where these women are cat fighting and all this kind of stuff. I don't know anything about that. And I don't have a problem having a woman for a leader or boss, whatever, because it's about business, number one. And then it's just simply sisterhood. And I go back to what I said before. Every single last woman official on this panel and in this meeting today has developed a sisterhood. And that is what makes you keep coming back because you're going to get to hang out with your sisters.
I have to say, during COVID, we all lived within 3 to 4 miles of the Los Angeles Forum, Inglewood Forum. We all met once or twice a week at the forum to walk 4 or 5 laps around the forum. This is during COVID when we're supposed to be in the house locked up with masks. We had to say, look, we got to get out the house, but we still got to, work out, exercise, because we're sitting at home eating cookies, and this is not going to be good at the end of COVID. So, but we just did our social distancing and just walked outside the forum, just did laps, But we tried to get more women out there. Oh, I lost my camera again. Sorry. We tried to get women out there. They just couldn't. They couldn't hack it. We've had one or two show and then didn't come back. But we try to get people out to understand that this is a sisterhood. We still got to make sure we're all okay. And that was a way for us to check on each other too. Like I said, the world's going through COVID at that moment. So that's another hand here.
Okay, volleyball. How do you guys keep up?
Yeah, go ahead.
How do we keep up in volleyball? Well,
No. How do you keep the women
keep coming back?
Once you get them, because sometimes we can recruit them really easy, but how do you keep them coming
That's
back?
a great question. It's great people like Patty, who sits next to me when I'm new out the box coming through, and she identifies me and she comes and sits by me and sheds some of her knowledge. I didn't know who Patty was when I first met her, but all I did was get embraced by her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it is to me in our volleyball officiating community. We understand the lack of representation.
Mm-hmm.
We understand across the board in officiating all sports that even in women's sports, we are underrepresented. And so not only identifying, but supporting when they get there and say, hey, we are a culture. If you need anything, here's my personal number.
Right.
And she continues to keep checking on me. And then I get the pleasure to work with her. And when I do, it's up to the leader to be vulnerable enough to say, hey, I want your feedback. And she's humble enough to do so, as well as giving me hers. So I believe us in leadership positions, we need to make a safe space in the pregame, reaching out before the pregame, like you said, Yvette, even if it's to walk around the block together, to meet at the coffee shop beforehand so we know how to get to the gym, to understand the lay of the land. If Dr. Tamisha knows that there's no locker rooms ahead of time and she's been at that location, maybe we'll reach out to her partners and say, here's what we're expecting. Maybe we need to meet off campus or just come dressed, right? But just spreading this to the people that are up and coming. But us as leaders need to make that space to say, hey, I'm expecting your feedback as well as giving you mine. And all of us to be first to call out what we could have done better as well, right? When we do have that post-game situation. But I'm telling you, in the volleyball space, it is about the community. It is about finding people such as these new up and comers that have played the sport that we want you here. And so when they do show up, make them feel comfortable calling, reaching out a little more so than we normally would do, because we all get really busy, especially in California, where I'm from. We get on the hustle. Okay. But sometimes we have to open our eyes and look up and just spread our knowledge, but spread just a kind, hey, we're all in the same page here. We're all in the same book. I just want to let you know, I'm so glad you're here. Just even that little bit of reach out can make a big difference. But I also encourage you, Naomi and Soraya and Charlita, that when you do find somebody like an Yvette, that you initiate conversations like you're doing. I know that has also reached out to people and said, hey, come and be here. But it's like, what can we do as the mentees to support our mentors? And how do we get that information, like Dr. Susan said? How are we vocal with them and saying, now how do we ask those questions? What is too much? And to me, it's don't feel like you're bothering them.
Right.
For sure, have your prepared set of questions. But I'd say most of us as mentors want our person to reach out to us because we're really busy. We want you to send us play. We want you to send us scenarios. We want you to say, hey, I've got a game here. Let's at least talk about it after. I might not be able to be there, but I'm absolutely open to, when I'm on my long drive to my game tonight at Irvine, that let's just talk about what we're doing. What happened in that last game? What are some of the things you experienced with you and your partners? What's a better way to maybe have communicated that? All of us have been through so much. I'd rather learn through their mistakes than have my own. But guess what? The only attitude we need to have is we fail forward. Okay.
This is so true, Kaylee, because I remember you inviting me to your D1 basketball games and being open to ask me the questions of, what did you see out there? What did you see? What did you think about this call? And I'm the lower man on the totem pole. You're doing D1 and you're asking me. So that really, I love that in a mentor that is willing to put their self out there and say, I'm not perfect.
Absolutely.
Marianne.
Yeah, Marianne first.
You had your hand up.
Yeah. So echo, all of those things. Thanks, Ronnie, for bringing up that first meeting at SoFi. You're right. It had gone in the way backs. I wanted to bring up one more point about how we keep these young women or women that we bring in the rooms. And we need to protect them.
Absolutely.
We need to protect them in the way that we as leaders have the uncomfortable conversation with John Smith, who said something in a way that they shouldn't have said it, and let them know that was inappropriate, and make it community heard.
Yes.
You don't get to say that. We had softball umpires on this call, right? So softball, I was working a PGF softball tournament this past summer, and one of the males in the parking lot while we're in between games made a comment to one of the other female umpires that was completely inappropriate. And I was actually about 5 feet away, maybe 10, when I heard this comment that made me go,
what?
And I walked over there and I just, as loud as I could, said, you don't get to say that to her.
Yeah.
That is inappropriate. And I am here putting you in your place. And I know you're going to turn around and you're going to call me a bitch and you're going to say I'm demanding and you're going to do whatever. But you don't get to say that to her. And I am here to protect her because we are in this together.
Absolutely.
Right.
And if you want to be in it with us, that's cool. But don't say that shit if you're going to be in it with us.
Absolutely.
It's hard. It's difficult to have those conversations, but those difficult, confrontational, sometimes kinds of conversations where we have to stand up and protect those around us, I think are very important to keep these younger generations coming back, coming back, coming back. That includes conversations with coaches from time to time about how they treat officials. Hey, you don't get to treat that official like that. You wouldn't treat me like that. When I step onto a tackle football field, I've spent 8 years earning the respect of these huge, huge men. And I step onto a football field and I have earned their respect. And I have a new female official on that field with me. And they treat her differently. And I get to go up to that coach and say, that is not appropriate. And as leaders, if we are not doing that, we are not protecting these younger people coming in behind us. So it sucks. It's hard. I hate having those conversations, but in every single moment, I just step up and say, put my big girl panties on and let's do it. Let's rumble.
That's right. That's right.
Those conversations are necessary, though. You know, they just have to be done. I'm glad you brought that up. The necessary is the key word, because if we don't speak up for them and protect them, nobody else will. You know, as many, Dr. Susan, Ronnie, as many of young girls that we've had to, you know, step up for. And, you know, one girl, we bought her first uniform, you know, because she didn't have an appropriate uniform. And I'm proud to say she just got hired by Violet this year. So I'm really happy about that. But it's like, that was something that we contributed to her security, her confidence, you know, to know that someone had more than one person had our back. So that's excellent, Mary. I'm glad you said that. Ms. Carter, Dr. Carter, excuse me.
Thank you. I just wanted to share my perspective as a newer official in 3 different sports and what's kept me coming back. And the one thing has been, one, the love of the sport. So being around the sport, being around the game has been enough to keep me excited about coming back. But the other thing that's uber motivational is the female student athletes. They notice right away when I walk onto the court or I walk onto the field. They're like, we have a girl. You're a girl. And I'm like, yeah. And we only have men officials. So it's always good to be recognized for being in the space with them, and for them to just love to see women officials present in the space. And they come up to me and they're like, you're so pretty. I'm like, girl, you are pretty. But they notice right away. The other thing that I also want to lift up is the sister circle. So when there's other female officials that are in the same sport or around the same space and you're able to debrief with them, that debrief is real. And with NFHS and DV Sports, you don't actually have to be there. You can send a clip and call. I've been on the court with Ronnie, or in the gym with Ronnie, and around Doc, who have called me and said, I saw your game on NFHS, so I'm watching your game. What were you thinking about with that call? And did you see this over here? Or Ronnie will say, what'd you think? Are our calls consistent? But that the opportunity to debrief and have a soft but firm landing is imperative to keep women in officiating coming back when you know that you may get scolded, but that scolding is in love and it comes from a place of respect and a desire to ensure that you are the best that you can absolutely be. Absolutely. I think that's imperative. Yes. And I think oftentimes we show up, we know the rules, but if we don't have that the experience, the implementation, and the application of the rules made in alignment. But when you have a group of officials who are able to debrief with you and walk you through those steps and make you see outside of the tunnel vision that you have, it's a great opportunity that keeps you coming back. So.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah,
I want to ask one more question of the panel before we have to break up, and that's how do we break that glass ceiling? Because we've put many cracks in that glass ceiling, but how do we actually break through to get to the other side where we are seen, as Patty said, putting equal men and women on these games, in these spaces, and keeping them there and keeping those numbers high. And I would like, Yvette, if you could go around to all the panelists and find out that.
Well, I want to start with Patty because she was a coordinator official. So was that something you thought about when you did your assigning games?
Yeah. I will say that politically speaking, you have to be astute. If you go too far, particularly in a sport like volleyball, because it's the largest team sport right now, is that you don't want to get kicked off the team. That's what I call it. You don't want to not have employment, not be on a board, not be welcomed into the circles, because you have to be in the circle. You have to be in a position of leadership in order to affect change. So you have to really put some of yourself aside. There were many moments. I served on a very high level board, the highest level actually of multi-sport in this country. And by the way, I got called into a room and chewed out for bringing up the topic that women weren't represented very well in all the major magazines. And of course, they had a magazine as well. But they were so angry that I would say that out loud. And then I simply asked, it's true, because I've been tracking every magazine and the number of women articles, and unbelievable anger at that proposal. So to get to the point of what you're talking about, women have to stay in positions where they can affect change, and then they have to continue to gently push. And I know that's a tough word to say, because there's like, let's break it. Well, you break it, you might be off the team. So stay on the team, be in positions of leadership, and then in a positive, and I call this, it's about leadership. This is your ship. All these great leadership books are being inclusive. So bring the guys in, bring the groups in, bring the women, and say, hey, we can have a larger group of referees, because by the way, in every single sport, there's a shortage. So I know that Marianne brought this up. There is plenty of room for all the referees, and there's plenty of room to referee high level games for every single female and male. So let's bring it in. And the final thing I'll say, and it was out of the mouths of babes last night when I got to go to my granddaughter's quite a little concert she had for first graders, which was adorable. And by the way, those music teachers had a theme, which was kindness and love. And I thought they were very gently going undercover to push and make a statement regarding the current political climate, which means that they're saying this current political climate stinks, and these children know how to speak loving kindness to all, right? I was crying of laughter, because they weren't saying it in any all-out way. They were saying it gently. But what really has to happen in officiating, particularly with the young people, to bring people up, is as an element of loving kindness. And this is not necessarily a coach who's upset about a call. This is the environment that we're providing each other, right? Callie's point is so kind of her, and I know she had to step off here, but it's so kind of her, because the reality is you need to build a coalition, and Callie's a part of the coalition. Even though she was new, I could tell right away she was part of the coalition. She was I could see in her energy around the people around her. I said, I got to get to that girl, because that girl is going to make big changes in officiating in volleyball and in basketball. And we need young women like her to show women, particularly, that it's a loving, kind place, no matter your skill level, and they will help you evolve and find your place in the officiating, whether it's the Olympic level, the high school level, it doesn't matter. And then you will enjoy it. It's, by the way, for me, I did it all. I played pro. I was a college coach at a very high level. But you know where I found my greatest friendships? It was in the officiating. They were there when I lost my sister. They were there when we just recently lost my mother-in-law here just last week, 63 years old, a tragedy. Those people came forward. It's just an incredible group.
Yes.
So that my simple point is we need to make it understood in this officiating world that it is a place for women and it's a family. You're going to be loved and cared for. And we will make it so that in these environments, you are going to be taken care of. And that if you do need advice, we're here for you to call. And so, thus, they see no threat because the number one the reason people want to officiate, because I wasn't normal. I didn't care if I had fun or not. I loved officiating. But in reality, children and people need to have fun. They need to enjoy it, or they're not going to do it. Why would they? So we need to make sure that that happens.
Marianne, what do you
I'm sorry,
think?
I was just typing in the comments, but I totally can relate. 2018, my mother passed, and at least 12 of my fellow women officials were at my door. And it was just amazing to have that support when you need it. And it's just I was just blown away, and that's what helped me get through it. And it's you couldn't have spoken that more. So the last question we did have, and actually I was coming to Patty for this because she's a coordinator official, was about the when we talked about recruiting. How do you get new officials past the way players, parents, and coaches and fans treat officials? Like, how do you address that part of it to let them know that that's really not even the biggest part of this job is, but how do you get them through that?
No, it's not. And by the way, in junior, because our feeder program is the clubs. It's high school,
Uh,
but it's really the club programs as well. And
yeah.
what you have to put in place is strong controls in the high school setting. You cannot allow parents to, like, for example, I was at Ohio State. I was reffing a men's game at Ohio State. The coach came over to me from Ball State and he said, "Hey, those kids are calling our guys the B word." And I went, "That's unacceptable." I said, "1 minute." I turned and went to the table, found the administrator who we knew where they were, and said, "Hey, those kids over there are calling the guys names and it's not acceptable." Boom, up, out, and it was over. That's what we have to do. We've got to create environments in the college, in the club, in the high schools that says it's unacceptable. And in USA Volleyball, they've done this. We have what's called the Hearers program, as well as a general safe sport program, where if parents misbehave, there is no like, oh, okay, well, try to be better. They're gone. We do not allow it, and that creates a safe space for these young people, particularly the youngest of our young people that are officiating. We have some 18-year-olds that are officiating. They need to know that they're going to be protected and that there's going to be people that are going to take care of these challenges with parents. And by the way, it is a serious challenge at the club level. And you have to put in place within these organizations and as a supervisor within even FIVB and within the NORCECA Federation. We have 5 confederations. So we have the Caribbean and the zones, in a sense, all these incredible zones that are amazing. I love being the NORCECA president because besides Canada and the USA, we go into like Trinidad, Tobago, we're in Haiti, we're in Dominican Republic, we're in all these incredible countries that have just these small islands, and we're promoting women officials and men, by the way. Not easy to get the folks officiating in those smaller islands. And the key space there is that they've got to have a safe place to do their work.
I want to hear Marianne's take on that for football because we women, when we're out there, we may be the only woman on the field. So, how do we keep that safe space for our women, Marianne?
Yeah, I think, previously it took me some years being on a tackle football field, and since then, being in other spaces that are, it's always been predominantly male around, but I I've grown into a space where, like I said, I don't let people get away with things like that. I affect change where I can. Patty spoke a little bit about you kind of got to see where you can push and see where you can't push because I can't push myself out of the room. But I have opportunity to assign for our local rec softball leagues, and I made our rec softball programs. Every single coach has to sign a contract, and every single parent has to sign a contract. And if they misbehave, they have to umpire a game before they get to come back and participate. The
Yes.
adults.
Love it.
So,
Love
yeah,
it.
and the
Love
lead
it.
in for that really is like you all parents and coaches require your children to behave. So where's the
Right.
requirement for you to behave as in a certain way? We have standards we hold these standards for our
Right.
children who are participating. These are the standards that you are held to as well. It was so effective
I'm
we didn't
sure.
have one issue in our rec softball
Wow.
season last spring. Now we're in this spring so far, we're good to go. But um, on the tackle field and in this, and I know you basketball officials feel this when you're on the basketball court and it's a men's basketball game. I I just I number one, I celebrate the men who stand up for me and with
Yes.
me. And I make sure that I'm very vocal about that. And I make sure that I say it to a lot of people and very loud. Troy spoke up for me. I had this happen, and he put that coach in their place. And I feel protected and safe by Troy. This is how he did it. This is what, and I give a lot of detail about what was said and what was done and praise
Mm-hmm.
publicly for these other people who are standing up for me as well.
Right.
Unfortunately, we have to teach people how to help us. And I feel in some ways like I'm doing that when I do that. And then just like I will stop a softball game if I hear something that I don't like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I will take my mask off and I will walk out in front of the plate and I will be like, Coach, that parent now.
And don't even make eye contact. That lady right there with the white shirt on.
Mhm.
And it zoop, right? I unfortunately I think that a lot of times they don't even it doesn't even click with them that they are being inappropriate, and
Yeah,
it you have to make an example of them, and that
you
sucks for
do.
me because I'm the one
Right.
again being the bitchy person and making people behave, but it's the it's the hill I'm going to die on apparently. So
I always say when
I
I'm
don't know
gonna
if I
be
answered the question. I feel like I'm rambling, so I'm gonna.
no, I always say if I'm gonna be the bitchy person, just make sure you spell my name right. So Dr.
And
Seeley?
see, that's part of the problem too. Um, because, when we as women assert ourselves like we're supposed to, we're even calling ourselves bitchy.
Mm,
Okay. And that's something that we need to work on. I'm not being a bitch. I'm being in charge because that's
mhm.
why they're
Right.
paying me to be here, to be in part. I can echo Marianne. I don't remember the details now, but I stopped the softball game. I turned around. I said, here's what you not gonna do.
Yeah,
Okay. And I went down the list I said, this is about these little girls. You got something nasty to say? Go on in the parking lot.
yeah,
Cuss all you want. But
yeah.
right here, all I want to hear is cheering and yay and that's right and woo. That's all I want to hear. And if you can't do that, then you are welcome to leave now. We didn't
Exactly.
have any other of that because they forget who we're there for.
Mm-hmm.
Who we're there for.
Mm-hmm.
I think in terms of what you were saying, number one, we have to look at each individual's own psychological makeup. I ain't never had no problem because that's simply who I am. I'm not gonna have problems.
Right.
Okay. But everybody who comes in doesn't have my strong sense of self, doesn't have my intestinal fortitude. And so those people who come in who have a softer personality, a softer demeanor, whatever, we have to teach them be who you are because I want to always be who I am when I'm out officiating, whatever I'm officiating. But in this moment, I need to be a little bit more forceful. I need to be, and so our job is to give them this voice. If I'm on the basketball court, I can do it simply by when I call something or whatever, I got my hand up straight, I blow the whistle, and I don't even move. I just stand
Mhm.
there because I want everybody, who's anybody to see, okay, this is the power. She has it. She's not playing with you. She's not. And so we have to teach some of our younger officials how to have that demeanor, how to carry themselves, how to use their stature, and then the rest will follow.
Mm-hmm.
We have to practice being great, both on and off of the court and the field and so on and so forth. Last year was my first year, football, and I kept asking the signer, "Are you sure about this?" Because he assigned me to 3 varsity football games, and I showed up, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't, but and I had the sticks too." And I'm like, okay, so what, okay, okay. I said, thank God the people who had the sticks knew what they were doing. So all I had to say was, okay, well, this, just for, and I faked it. So at halftime, my partner said, Susan, blah, 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 MF this. You better F and make your call because we're gonna have you. I'm like, okay, then you ain't got to say that twice. And the second half, I was a whole other official because something had been poured into me that gave me permission to go on and just be all that I could be. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to, and I was screaming louder than anybody going back into the locker room after that game. I'm like, yeah, you know, but something was poured into me that gave me that confidence. What was poured into me, plus him telling me, we got your back. And that's what we need to teach our newer officials, especially our females. We're going to pour some stuff into you, into the leadership that ties right back into the sisterhood that rise tight right back in. That's right. I received my little
And
hearts flying in
and hopefully
yeah.
that will break us not just to crack the glass ceiling, but break us through the ceilings where we're at the top and we're holding those positions where we can continually pour into others.
Mhm.
Ladies, this has been just amazing. Just, I mean, this is better than those little proverbs you put on the mirror. It's just to know that we share this sisterhood in sports, and we all have different experiences in different ways. And I just recently started my Atlanta sisterhood. We have our group chat with 22 women on it, and most of them, some of them joined this call, so I hope they walk away seeing my history, my past, my LA life. And we're gonna put this together somewhere somehow because I am truly blessed to know all of you and have learned from all of you at some point. And yeah, Kimberly in Tennessee is my newest member. She works ABA for me, so we're gonna bring this all together. But thank you so much, Ronnie, and your group for putting this together for us so we can talk and share. We gotta do this more like 3 times a year or something.
Yes, we must. And I
Yeah.
want if Loretta is listening, I would love for her to come back in and talk. But I don't see her.
Yeah. And Patty,
So
Pat, I think I met you at Nassau last year or a year before, didn't I? Were you at Nassau, Spokane, or um, I think you were one of the guest speakers or had a clinic at Nassau one year. Yeah, I thought I remembered your name. So I'm trying to get to know
Loretta, are
everybody.
you online?
Mute.
I don't.
There I am. I need to unmute.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just to share with you, ladies, thank you so very much for your time and efforts. You are inspiration to all of us. I really appreciate this. We do want to invite you September the 16th to the 20th. We will have our Professional Women's International Barbados Summit. The 5-day summit will have one day specifically designed for the conversation of, let me find it, women in sports. So we're really excited about that. We do have sponsor benefits that are available. We can send you the information, but we are going to continue this conversation globally because under our sports participation, we've designed the International Sports Opportunity Committee, where our goal and objective is to bring 100 underrepresented communities to the LA Olympics. And we're growing and building conversations around that. We've already have Jamaica has a group of commitment. We will be in Barbados. We're talking to their administration in regards to participation. And so we're really excited about this opportunity. So we look forward to seeing you there. We're more than happy to give you more information on the summit. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Ronnie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, ladies, so much. You don't know, this has been such an honor, and to bring on everybody from the different sports, their experience, from the newbies all the way up to the total veterans who are at the top of their game and beyond, the people that are leading the charge. This is like near and dear to my heart, officiating. Yvette can tell you, Marianne can tell you, because I've been bugging her about football and flag football and rules. I haven't ventured off into softball or volleyball yet, but I do love sports. I've loved sports since probably my mom said I came out of the womb, because I always wanted to play. Sports is truly my heart and soul. And thank you, Yvette, for moderating this panel for me. Thank you, my illustrious panel, Patty, Marianne, Dr. H, Dr. Tamisha, Kaylee, who had to jump off. Thank you, thank you, thank you for hosting this year. This has been so wonderful. I just think this conversation is so important. And Yvette, I agree with you. I want to do this again, maybe in 3 or 4 months. If you guys are all available, we can continue talking about these subjects and putting them out there and inviting all the officials and showing them that they do have a sisterhood, that there is a place where they have a safe place to land and to give back, or even to get from, us giving them the information. So thank you so much, ladies, each and every one of you. Last words, anyone? No?
I put it
Yeah,
all in the
No,
chat.
thank you.
girls, who run the world?
We run the world.
Yes.
Who run the world?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Have a
Thank you.
wonderful rest of your day.